Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki Hare Gaur Premanande. All glories to the Assembly. All glories to the Assembly. All glories to the Assembly. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. So again, I'd like to welcome everyone to Hare Krishna Temple Burbank. So now we'll discuss some philosophy from Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which are two of our main scriptures. So today's topic is the journey of the soul. It's a very relevant topic for everyone, new and old alike. Because we can say very easily, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. But to realize it is another matter. So this Krishna consciousness practice is not akasha pushpayate, just flowers in the sky. We are trying to live the philosophy and realize its message. And this message is very profound. And if we want to be happy in life, experience satisfaction, and experience how we can immune ourselves from the daily miseries and challenges that we face, then taking shelter of the Lordships, Sri Radha Krishna, taking shelter of their instructions, imbibing those instructions in our lives and heart, and taking association of devotees, making friends with devotees, is so important, because actually whoever our friends are, they say the closest 5 people, you can pick out that are close to you, then actually you are like them. And so one of the most important aspects that Srila Prabhupada established these centers of Krishna consciousness is so that people can get opportunity to make friendships, create communities, and in association of each other, assist to elevate each other's consciousness. Therefore, this movement sometimes is called collective consciousness as well. If collectively everyone is good, then we will help ourselves become good. And ultimately, being good means taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, because that's whom we are related to. So without further ado, let's look into this topic. We'll just do some praise for auspiciousness. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnanam Janashalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Kaitaradhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhutair Mahadvir Jaima Puro Vibhu Nirmaya Shete Yadamushu Purusha Bhutair Iman Shodashatmaka Solam Krisishta Bhagavan Vacham Sime Shri Krishna Sharanam Sharanagatam Katha Amritam Satatapivatam Bhakti Vedanta Marga Panthanam Sarvaloka Rishideva Channa Prasannam Sarvaloka Rishideva Channa Prasannam. So, in Srimad Bhagavatam is historical pastime of great saint Narad Muni is mentioned, where he tells this allegory story. Allegory story is not actually a truth, but it is something which is taken to make a point. So the conversation between Narad Muni and this personality known as Prachina Barhi is true. And this explanation of this story of Puranjana is used to explain some specific points, because sometimes straight talk doesn't gel well with people. When we talk straight, In India there is a saying, the mother-in-law teaches the daughter-in-law by teaching the daughter. So if daughter-in-law makes some mistake, and the mother will scold the daughter in front of daughter-in-law. And if daughter-in-law is intelligent, she'll understand that actually it's not the daughter-in-law's mistake. It's not the daughter's mistake, it's my mistake. This message is for me. So indirectly, this message is being conveyed to Prachina Barhi and all of us. Because all of us, in effect, are like Prachina Barhi. Because our aim and goal of life is only limited to 4 aspects: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's all there is to it. It is said, Graheshu Kuta Dharmeshu. And we regard that the more we increase the standard of living to perfect these things, eating, mating, sleeping and defending, the more civilized we become. But scriptures tell us that this is pseudo-religiosity, it is not real religion. Putra Dharadhana Divihi, that my children, my wife, my house, my car, my bank balance, this is all. Na param vindante mudho. And beyond this, if the person doesn't think about questions of why I am here, what is the goal of life, then the scriptures say, Bhramyam samsara vartmasu. Again and again they have to take birth, die again, take birth again. And in this form, go through the transmigration of 8.4 million species of life, sometimes animals, sometimes reptiles, sometimes plants, trees, aquatics, and so forth. So, the scriptures enjoin that we should end this business of birth, death, old age, and disease, because these 4 are common problems. But no one actually thinks that one day I am going to die. Although they are sufficiently experienced that everyone is dying around them. Just yesterday I got a phone call while I was away in New Zealand, and one of my fellow colleagues, his father passed away, and he wanted to take some advice. So in this way, we may be experienced that, okay, our father, mother, if not them, then one of the grandparents, if not them, then their parents have passed away. And around us we see our relatives, our friends, people we know daily. It is said in Mahabharata that Gachanti bhutalayam, gachanti iha yamalayam, that daily thousands of living entities are dying, going to the abode of Yamaraj, Gachanti iha yamalayam. But those who remain, they think that they will not die. This is the most wonder-striking thing, that we think we will live forever. Of course, we know we're going to die. But our actions don't gel with this conclusion that we are going to die. Our actions are, in fact, pointing to this, that we will live forever. And why this is the case? Because we are souls and soul is eternal. So in that way there is no contradiction. But the contradiction is that this body is not eternal. Therefore we should get an eternal body. And that eternal body we can only get when we take shelter of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. We can take shelter of His holy names and realize our spiritual being. So this point is being impressed upon by this great sage Narada through the story of Puranjana. Now please pay care attention because I'm going to ask questions at the end, and because this story is very, very detailed. So once upon a time it is said that there was a great king known as Puranjana. And this great king had a very close and dear friend whose name was Avijñātaha. No one could understand who Avijñātaha was or where he was coming from, what he would be doing, what his activities are. But nonetheless, he was very, very close to Puranjana. One day, on the southern part of the Himalayan mountains, the great king Puranjana climbed atop. And when he got to the top, on the northern side, he saw a great city. It is said city of 9 gates. And he became immediately attracted to the city of 9 gates. The city had 5 gates on the eastern side, 1 gate on the west side, 1 gate on the northern side, and 2 gates in the southern side. And as Puranjana went down the Himalayan mountains and entered the city of 9 gates, more and more he became attracted. The cities had many, many gardens, many lakes, many waterfalls, and many, many very nice, attractive birds, and beautiful animals like deer. And he could not believe that such a place can exist. And Puranjana kept walking about, wondering, what is this place? And soon enough, he heard the ankle bells, sound of ankle bells coming from some direction. And in that direction, he turned his head and started walking towards. And very soon, Puranjana saw a great entourage coming his way. There was a young maiden, and behind the young maiden was 5 hooded serpent. Please pay careful on the details, because I'm going to ask questions on these details. So 5 hooded serpent behind the young maiden. And behind the 5-headed serpent, there were 11 servants, 11 primary servants. And behind the 11 primary servants, there were hundreds and hundreds of other servants. And as Puranjana got closer by, he could make out this is a very beautiful young maiden. And he immediately became attracted to her. And as the young maiden approached also, she could see the youth, the valor of King Puranjana. And she also became attracted to her. And they started communicating with each other. Oh young maiden, who are you? Where are you coming from? It seems your beauty is just like goddess of fortune. Have you descended from the heavenly abodes? In this way he started questioning her. And the young maiden replied, actually, O king, I don't know who I am. I don't know where I'm coming from, and I don't know what I'm doing here. All I know that I've got these beautiful facilities for enjoyment. I've got this 5-hooded serpent who is always protecting me and the city of 9 gates. I've got 11-head servants who are constantly serving me. And behind them, there are hundreds and hundreds of servants serving me. I only know that this place is a place of enjoyment. And that's all I care about. And Puranjana then replied, O young maiden, I am very much attracted to you. So let us get into a relationship and let us get married and enjoy in the city of 9 gates. The young maiden replied, I also, O king, am attracted to you. In this way, Puranjana and the young maiden, they got married. And they entered the city of 9 gates. And there were many, many palaces in the city of 9 gates. They entered those palaces. And they started enjoying a happy marital life. And Puranjana had many, many children. And he did many, many expeditions. He enjoyed the kingdom to the fullest extent. And in this way, he started living. And people of the city of 9 gates were glorifying Puranjana and Puranjani, the queen. And in this way, life was going on very, very nicely. But unknown to Puranjana, in a land far, far away, there was the king of the Yamanas known as Chandavega. And Chandavega had 720 strong soldiers. And they started attacking the city of Puranjana, unknown to Puranjana, because Puranjana was so engrossed in sense gratification, in enjoying the association of his wife, family members, children, that he did not realize that this attack was going on. There were 360 soldiers who would attack at night time and 360 soldiers who would attack at daytime. And this attack got so prevalent at one point in time that before Puranjana could do anything, the whole situation was hopeless. The superintendent of the city of Nine Gates was the five-hooded serpent, and the five-hooded serpent alone was fighting against the forces of Chandavega. But after many years, this five-hooded serpent could not keep up with the force of Chandavega and his soldiers. And eventually, Puranjana started noticing that everything around him is crumbling. That his wife is no longer listening to him, she's become cold. The servants are no longer following the orders, they are being rebellious. The children are no longer listening to Puranjana. And Puranjana is finding himself becoming weak. And at this point in time, the forces of Chandavega, they fully attack city of Puranjana. And they render all citizens of the city of Nine Gates useless and helpless. They arrest everyone, and finally the forces of Chandavega go to the inner chambers of the city of Nine Gates and drag Puranjana out. They tie a rope around his neck, and by this time Puranjana finds himself hopeless. Chandavega had a daughter named Jara, and Jara, as soon as she catches Puranjana and embraces her, Puranjana becomes completely old and invalid, unable to do anything. Another son of Chandavega is known as Prajvara. So the forces of Chandavega drag Puranjana out along with Jara and Kalakanya. They drag Puranjana out, and Prajvara sets the city of Nine Gates into fire. Puranjana has no choice. And when Puranjana is being dragged out of the city of Nine Gates, he is crying helplessly. There is no one to listen to his cry. And in this moment of time, rather than remembering his friend, the closest one to him, Abhignataha, he remembers his wife, his children, his servants, his house, but to no avail. No one is able to save Puranjana. And as he is dragged out from the city of Nine Gates, Prajvara sets the whole city into fire, and the whole city just crumbles into dust. And because Puranjana at the end thought of his wife, in his next life he was born as a female. So scripture said that yan yan vapi swaran bhavam tyajet anta klevaram, that whatever state of consciousness one leaves the body, thinking of whatever they are thinking at that time, then in the next life they'll take birth in that condition. Because Puranjana thought of his wife, he was born as a female in next life, as the daughter of a king of Vaidarbha, and she was known as Vaidarbhi. And she forgot whatever had happened in the past life. So similarly, we have taken many lives, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So many husbands, so many mothers, so many fathers, so many wives or husbands we have had, but we don't remember who our wife was or husband was in past life, who our parents were in our last life. And similarly, after this life also, we won't have any recollection. Life just so-called goes on. And the cycle of samsara. Samsara is known as birth, death, old age and disease. It just continues. And one who doesn't question this, scriptures say, such a person is a fool. So similarly, Puranjana now became Puranjani, female. But she did pious activity in her previous life. So she was born in a kingdom. She was a princess. And when she came of age, she was married to a great pious king known as Malyadhwaja. And the whole series started again. They had many children. But King Malyadhwaja was different. He was a devotee of Krishna. And he had taken complete shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. And when the time came, when he reached the age of 50, then he retired and handed over the kingdom to his children and went into the forest to experience and take shelter of Krishna. And because Vaidarvi was very chaste to her husband Malyadhwaja, she also went along with him. Although she was not interested at all in self-realization. And one day, after many years, King Malyadhwaja, in full samadhi, meditating and absorbing in Krishna, his soul left the body and went back home, back to Krishna's abode. But at that time, Vaidarvi did not realize that my husband is no more. He's passed away. It took some time. And when she realized, she started crying. And her grief knew no bounds. She was crying loudly because she only relied and depended on her husband. He was the only one she ever knew. And she was very scared that this is a jungle and I'm all alone. And at that time, one young Brahmana boy came and he started asking her, who are you? And whose body is here lying? And she replied, I'm Vaidarvi and this is my husband Malyadhwaja. He just left his body. Under his shelter, I felt protected and secure. But now that he is gone, I find myself helpless. I have no protection. And that young Brahmana boy started imparting spiritual knowledge to her. That you don't know that we are not the body, we are the spirit soul. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Nainam chindanti shastrani, that the spirit soul cannot be cut by pieces, by weapons. Nainam dahati pavakaha, the fire cannot burn the spirit soul. Nainam klediyante apo, the water cannot moisten the soul. Na shoshayati marutaha, the wind cannot dry or wither the spirit soul. The spirit soul is such spirit, it is not material. And all these ingredients, including the body, is material. When the body dies, the spirit soul does not die. Like we change garments at the end of the day and take on new garments the next day. Similarly, when this body becomes useless, the soul gives up this body and takes new body. Krishna explains that from childhood to boy, to youth, to adult, to old age, then at old age, when the body is no longer fit, death happens of the body. But the soul, which continuously resides within the body, goes and takes another body as per the karma. So in this way, the young Brahmana boy explained to Vaidarvi. And then the young boy said, you actually don't know me. I am your eternal friend, Avijñātah, the unknown one. And I am always with you. But you don't look at me inwards. You are always looking outwards to the material world. What do you think about this story? Complex? Okay, let's try to understand what this story is and who the various characters are. So who is Puranjana? Can anyone guess? What does Purana mean? Puran. Puran means very, very old. And what does Jana mean? Soul, the person. So Puranjana, very, very old person. And that very, very old person is no one else but you and me. Because we all are spirit soul. Puranjana. Many, many lives, Krishna says to Arjuna, you have taken and I have taken. But I remember all of them, but you don't remember any of them. We are Puranjana. This is our story actually. And who is Avijñātah? Very good. Avijñātah is Paramatma. Why the name Avijñātah? What does Avijñātah mean? The unknown one. Jnata means one who is known. Avijñātah means unknown one. Why? Because we don't look inside our own hearts where the Lord is residing as the Super Soul. There is another nice prayer in Srimad Bhagavatam where Pingala says this. And she says, please repeat, Santam Samipe Ramanam Ratipradam. She says, Santam Samipe. Oh Krishna, you are near and dear to our hearts. Actually, the most nearest person to us is Krishna only. Because he is inside our hearts. And that's where we are residing. The soul is residing in the heart. Santam Samipe Ramanam Ratipradam. And he is the source of pleasure, Ramanam. And he is the provider of prosperity and attraction, Rati. Vitta Pradam. He is the provider of prosperity. However, Nityam Imam Vihaya. But we have given him up. We haven't looked inwards into our hearts. No. Instead, what we have done? Akamadam. We have saved persons who haven't been able to fulfill our own desire. But they have, in contrary, given us dukkha bhayadi shoka. They have given us dukkha, misery. Prabhupada says in Bhagavatam paper that if we think that someone else apart from Lord can make us happy, then that is the greatest source of disappointment eventually in the long run. At first, when attraction and allurement is there, then everything seems very rosy and nice. But in due course of time, the nature of the world is bhautika-nam cha bhava-nam. Everything deteriorates in this world. And so even the relationships eventually deteriorate. Only those relationships which are cognizant of this fact that yes, I am a soul, you are the soul, we all belong to Krishna. He is Santam Samipe, near and dear to our hearts. Only those relationships can be sustained in a happy, harmonious, and actually joyful way. Otherwise, all relations eventually, at one point or other time, if not now, then in future, will result in disappointment, like Puranjani and Vaidharvi experienced. Akamadam, dukkha bhayadi shoka. The relationships would be the source of misery. Dukkha, bhaya means fear. There's always fear. What will happen if he or she is not around? What will happen if children are not around? What will happen if we become deceased? What will happen if our wealth goes? Brahmaji says, Tavad bhayam dravinadeh sruhun nimittam soka spruha paribhavo vipulas chalobha. Every living entity is grust, means suffering from this element known as fear. Actually, it is said, human beings, they psychologically operate on the basis of fear. Oh, this will happen, therefore we should do this. Everything happens from fear. And what is the root cause of this? Yavan mameti asatavagraha arti moolam. The root misery cause of this is that we think Yavan mama eti, I, me and mine. We think I am the body, everything in relation to the body is mine, and therefore everyone should be saving me. Tavannatengrim abhayam pravanita loka. The Brahmaji gives this solution. Unless and until one takes shelter of Krishna, they cannot become free from this fearful condition. So Pingala goes on to say, Akamadam Dukkha Bhayadi Shoka Moha Pradam. Moha Pradam means that these other people have been the source of bewilderment for me. I cannot understand them. Tucham aham bhajekna. So these insignificant persons, tucha means insignificant persons. We go on saving all our lives, but at the end of our lives, when we need them the most, they are not there. Only one person is there, who is Abhignata, unknown one, Krishna. But within this lifetime, if we can know that unknown one, then he becomes Sarvagnya. Sarvagnya means he is the knower of everything. But we don't know him. The whole purpose of Vedas is to Vedaisya sarvairahame vavedyo Vedanta krit veda videva chamam, is to know Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that of all Vedas I am to be known, because I am the compiler of the Vedas and the speaker of the Vedas. Vedanta krit veda aham, that I am to be known. So somehow or the other, if we can know Krishna, Prabhupada says, yes, just by reading my book you can know Krishna. And following the instructions there, you can know Krishna. So he is the unknown one currently in some of our lives. But we should know him. But before that, we should know ourselves as well. So what is the city of 9 gates? Anyone wants to take a guess? Yes, this body. Why the 9 gates? 5 gates on the which side? Eastern side. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth. 1 gate on the western side. 1 ear, 1 gate on the northern side, the other ear, and 2 gates on the southern side, organs of reproduction and organs of evacuation. So this city of 9 gates. And we think it's beautiful. And who is the beautiful maiden? Close. The unbridled intelligence, Prabhupada translates. Unbridled intelligence. Why? Because when Puranjana asked the young maiden who she was, where are you coming from? What are you doing here without any engagement? And where are you going? The young maiden replied, I don't know who I am. I don't know where I'm coming from. I don't know where I'm going. And I actually don't even care. I only know that this is a good facility for enjoyment, and I want to enjoy to the fullest capacity. And this is us. We don't know who we are, we don't know where we are coming from, we don't know where we are going in life, and we actually don't care. Because Australia is the land of milk and honey, and this is the land where I can get mortgage and just enjoy, so-called. But we really know, as we got older, whether there is real enjoyment or not. So unbridled intelligence, that is called Karpanya dosho. Karpanya means miserly intelligence. What does miserly mean? Doesn't know value. In Hindi they say, no, kanjus. Kanjus means, miserly means you have money, but you don't want to spend it. Even for your own self, you don't want to spend the money.
Doesn't make full use.
Doesn't make full use of the money. So much money is there, but won't use it. So similarly, Karpanya means human beings have been given intelligence, and the intelligence is for the use of spiritual subject matters. Asking this question, who am I? What am I doing here? Where am I going? What will happen after death? If these questions we don't ask, then dharmena hinna pasuri samana. Then we are no different from animals. Because animals cannot ask these questions, but human beings can. So as long as unbridled intelligence remains, our intelligence remains unbridled, foolish, mudha, then we will not understand spiritual subject matters, no, we will ever care to understand it. So intelligence should be Krishna conscious. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, how can intelligence be Krishna conscious? He says, Tesham satata yuktanam. That those who are satata, always yuktanam, engaged in what? Bhajatam priti purvakam. Worshipping me with priti, love, purvakam, fully saturated. Then what does Krishna do to those people? He says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. So Krishna says, to those persons, I gave them buddhi, I gave them intelligence. So spiritual intelligence we actually don't have, but it is given. And what do we do with it, that spiritual intelligence? Krishna says, Yena mam upayanti te. With that spiritual intelligence, then we can go back to Krishna, where Krishna will give us ramanam, pleasure. He will give us vitta, prosperity. And He will give us pleasure. Infinite pleasure, Prabhupada says, to the power of infinitum. So, who are the 11 sevens and hundreds of sevens following the plain men sevens? Very good. So, mind and 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So 5 knowledge acquiring senses: Shotram, hearing; Chakshu, seeing; Sparshanam, touching; Rasanam, tongue; and Ghranam, smell. So with these 5 knowledge acquiring senses, we want to experience various pleasures. And then there is 5 working senses: the speech, grasping, working, organs of evacuation, and reproduction. So along with these 5 working senses and 5 knowledge inquiring senses, and the repository of all this is mind, where various impressions and discriminations are being made. the living entity endlessly tries to exploit the resources of material nature. Yes, I want to enjoy through this. But what happens? If the senses are not controlled, then the person becomes subjugated to addictions. And those addictions lead them to the path of hellish condition. So Bhagavad Gita, many places warn us against becoming victims of uncontrolled senses. In Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirna Krishne Parato Svato Vam Mitho Vipatye Chagrahagatanam Adanta Grobhir Vishatam Tamisram Puna Puna Charavita Charavananam. That Matina Krishna, if one's consciousness is not reposed onto Krishna, either by their own effort or by others' help, or combination of both. But Adanta Gobhir, they are dictated by their uncontrolled senses. Now sometimes we know what is right, what is wrong, but we cannot help but do the wrong things. Because our senses are not under control, the mind is not under control. The result of Adanta Gobhir means uncontrolled senses is what? Vishadam Tamisram. We go into the hellish condition of life. And what are we doing? If we really analyze, Prahlad Maharaj says, Puna Punas Charavita Charavanana. Again and again we are chewing the chewy. Just imagine, you have something to eat, you chew it, you spit it out, again you take it up and you chew it. In effect, that's what is happening with our lives. We are going over the same things again and 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 again. And one day, Mrityu Sarva Saraschaham. Krishna in form of death captures us. And Punan Mushtika Bhava. Again, the whole cycle of birth, death, old age, disease, it starts. So human life means knowing this and getting out of the cycle of birth and death. Prabhupada emphasizes on this point. So senses and mind, how can that be controlled? They cannot be controlled unless they are engaged in positive engagement. We are not saying just completely detached. No, our process is attachment via detachment, because attachment will give us a higher sublime taste. So there are two prayers, they are so nice. Bhavat Bhavam, it is said, Bhavat Udbhavam, Klesha Shata Kashahata, that the uncontrolled senses are like thousands of whips which beat us. They take us here and there. Paribhramam Indriya Kupatantare. The uncontrollable senses, Paribhramam means they actually take us anywhere and everywhere and where not. Kupatantare. Kupatantare means they take us to the bad road where we will be punished. However, the devotee prays to Krishna that, O Krishna, please help me control the mind and uncontrollable senses. Paribhramam Indriya Kupatantare Niyamyata He Madhava Me Manohayas. The wild sources of my senses, O Madhava, Tav Angrishanko Drada Bhakti Bandhane. With the rope of bhakti, let my senses, the horses of my senses, be tied to your lotus feet. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, all the senses, Tani Sarvani Sanyamya, can be controlled. How? Yukta Asita Matpara, when they can be engaged in my service. So here in Krishna conscious movement, when you come, all senses are engaged. First, we feed you nicely. And that is not ordinary food stuff. It is prashadam. And today, nice cooking has been done by Vishwambar Prabhu and Gaurangi Mataji, Premamai Gaurangi Mataji. They just moved from Adelaide a few months ago. And I said to Prabhu, Prabhu, nice, very nice prasadam. And he said, yes, it's prasadam, that's why it's nice. So prasadam helps us control actually all the senses. If this one sense, tongue, we can control by just eating prasadam, then all the other senses will eventually be controlled. And with this one sense, if we just simply follow this principle of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then all other senses will automatically be controlled. With eyes, we see the beautiful form of their Lordship, Shri Radhagiri Govardhan. With nose, we will smell the flowers which are offered to the Lord during the Arati. In this way, all the senses actually are engaged in service of the Lord, and therefore tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani. All the senses, they come under control. Why? Because yukta asita matparaha. Krishna says they are engaged in relation to me. And this is not simply a diversion. No, it is true engagement, because Krishna is supreme absolute truth. So Sukadeva Goswami very nicely says, please repeat, Vrishagirastahi Asatir Asat Katha Nakat Yatheyad Bhagavan Adokshaja. Whatever we speak or discuss, if it is not in relation to Krishna, then it is temporary and asat, untruth. But Krishna, Tadaiva Satyam. Krishna is one absolute supreme truth. Tadaiva Satyam. Tadyuhaiva Mangalam. And Krishna is auspicious when we approach him. Tadaiva Punyam. And he is the supreme piety. Bhagavad Gunodayam. Tadeva Ramyam. He is the supreme source of pleasure. Ruchiram Navam Navam. And he is ever youthful, and he gives newer and newer taste. Ruchiram Navam Navam. Tadeva Ramyam. Ruchiram Navam Navam. Tadeva Shashvan. And he is Shashvan. Shashvan meaning he is not of this world, he is spiritual. And because we also are spiritual, we are compatible. And when we are able to connect and relate with him, then what happens? Ruchiram Navam Navam. Tadeva Shashvan. Manaso Mahotsavam. Then we will be experiencing perpetual festival of mind. You know, one of the most common things people say, oh, I'm depressed, I feel bored, I don't feel alive. Why? Because only Krishna's engagement is the perpetual, eternal source of festival for the mind, festivity for the mind. It can only enliven the mind. Bhakti is the source of enlivened mind. What is that said? It said, Evam prasanna manaso. The mind becomes prasanna and enlivened. How? Bhagavad bhakti adhokshaja. When there is bhakti onto adhokshaja Krishna, then the mind becomes enlivened. So whenever you are depressed or we are depressed, we should come in connection with the devotees and just discuss Krishna's nice pastimes and Krishna's message, chanting of his holy names. So in this way, the senses can be controlled and by engagement in higher Krishna consciousness. We're getting to the end of it. What are the five hooded, who is the five-hooded serpent? No, we already discussed senses. No. What was the position of the 500 serpent? Superintendent of the city of 9 gates. So, what things protect this city of 9 gates? The 5 kinds of pranavayu. In Sanskrit it is said Adan, Udan, Vayan, and so forth. There are 5 kinds of life airs. When these life airs are out of sync, then disease sets in. But the serpent, 500 serpent, can only fight for how many years? At most, 100 years. At most. But the median disease age in Australia for men is around about 79. For women slightly higher, 83. But around about that is the time. If you naturally live. But after that, death, as they say, Shiva has death. That will come. So these 500 serpents in form of the 5 pranavayus, the life airs, can only protect this city of 9 gates. But what will happen after that? So before that comes, we should fully repose shelter onto Krishna so that he can extricate us out of the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease. Who is Chandavega? Yes, the Lord of Death. Vega means whose force is very forceful. Time factor. The Vega is the wheel of time, and time stops for no man. And when time is up, time is up. And who are the 720 soldiers of Chandavega? The days and nights. So 360 days in a year, 360 nights in a year, and day and night. Ayur Hardi Vaipumsam Udayam Astam Chayan. So with the rising and setting of the sun, our lifespan decreases by 1 day. And these soldiers of Chandavega, day and night, they are attacking us and reducing our lifespan. And ultimately, when we are closer to death, we are consumed by fear, we are consumed by old age, and eventually the body is burnt upon death. And that is known as Prajvara. But the solution for all this is only one, that we take shelter onto the lotus feet of Krishna. And there we can only experience eternal bliss. Please repeat. Shri Krishna Sharanam Samasta Jagatam Krishnam Vina Bhagatihi. So Shri Krishna Sharanam Samasta Jagatam. The whole world is under the shelter of Krishna. Without Krishna, we don't have any destination. Krishnena Pratihanyate Kalimalam Krishnaya Karyam Namaha. Krishna can conquer the ill effects of Kali Yuga, the age we are living in. And therefore, Krishna's activities we bow down to. Krishna Trayastikala Bhima Bhujago. Krishna is mighty arm. He is the strongest. He can do anything and everything. So what cannot he do for us? Krishnasya sarvam vashe. Everything is under the control of Krishna. Krishner bhaktir akhandita bhavatu me. And if you only pray that, oh Krishna, please give us your love, which is unbroken, akhandita bhavatu me. Krishna, Krishnasya tameva ashrayah. O Krishna, tvameva ashrayah, you are my only shelter. And if we really want to end this cycle of birth, death, old age, disease, and get out of this cycle, samsara, then this is the one means we can do it by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please take to this process, and we'll be here after the Arati. If you have any questions, please ask at that time. I'm very sorry, not much time as is left. Let's all rise now, and we can honor Arati. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.